I had grand plans for my 60s. I imagined quiet mornings with my newspaper, yes, the actual paper kind, slow brewed coffee, and an occasional guilty pleasure like peanut butter toast with way too much butter. But life after 60 in America isn't all early bird specials and AARP discounts. Why? Because of family. Not the good kind that brings pie and leaves. The kind that brings problems, overstays, and thinks retirement means you're available 24/7. And so I decided it's time to start a list. A list of relatives who after you hit 60 should come with warning labels. Or better yet, a mute button. Let's start with 2 AKA. Little Miss LinkedIn, meet Lauren. She's 29, went to some East Coast college with a name I can't pronounce, and she has a startup that makes eco-friendly indoor moss gardens for small apartments. She makes 6 figures, runs marathons, only eats plant-based protein, and lives in a studio apartment with walls made of glass and judgment. She visits once a year for exactly 90 minutes, always on a Sunday, always during my nap time, and always with that same annoying question. So Aunt Carol, what do you do with all your free time now that you're retired? What do I do? I survive, honey. I survived 3 decades of corporate America raising 2 kids who still don't know how to change a tire. And a marriage that ended when Gary realized golf was more fun than commitment in the era of dial-up internet. So no, Lauren, I'm not launching a wellness podcast or trying goat yoga. I take naps, I feed birds, I read books that don't require me to click a link in bio. I once told her I was learning to watercolor. She said, "Oh, so you're doing art therapy for mental health?" No, Lauren, I'm painting apples in a bowl because I like apples in bowls. She meant well. She always does. But there's something about her hyper-productivity that makes me want to fake a Wi-Fi outage every time she texts. AKA Mr. Temporary Trouble. If Lauren makes me feel old, cousin Rick makes me feel used. Rick is 47, perpetually in between gigs, and has slept on more couches than a touring jazz band. He always starts with a text, "Hey Carol." You're not going to believe this. And I always believe it, because I've heard it all. My roommate's snake bit me and now I'm in ER debt. The girl I was dating ghosted me and took my mattress. I'm trying to get back on my feet, just need a week or two. The last time he stayed with me, he ate all my granola bars, reset my Netflix language to Portuguese, and told me my couch was too firm for creative dreams. Creative dreams? He's writing a screenplay about a man who travels through time using soup cans. He's been writing it for 9 years. When I suggested maybe he get a part-time job, he said, "I can't. I'm protecting my artistic energy." I wanted to say, "Rick, protect it somewhere else, like far away." But of course I didn't. I made him eggs, washed his laundry, gave him $80. Why? Because I'm nice. And that, dear reader, is exactly why people like Rick sniff out the retired like bloodhounds. We're home all the time, and we're soft. But retirement isn't supposed to be an emotional Airbnb for lost cousins. So the next time Rick texts, I've decided my answer will be short and clear. "Sorry, Rick. This in is closed. Try LinkedIn." It's not that these people are bad. They're human, messy, unaware, entitled maybe. But what no one tells you is that after 60, your emotional energy becomes limited. You start valuing silence more than small talk, peace over people-pleasing. You want visitors who bring stories, not stress. And you definitely want your granola bars to stay where you left them. They say retirement is a time of reflection. So here's what I've reflected. Just because you're related to someone doesn't mean you owe them space in your living room or your head. In part 2, we'll talk about the next 2 lovely relatives, the passive-aggressive sister-in-law, yes, her, and the tech support grandson, aka, "Grandma, did you try turning it off and on again?" But for now, I'm off to enjoy a chamomile tea and a nap that nobody under 30 will understand. Retirement was supposed to be about freedom, freedom from alarms, freedom from performance reviews, and most of all, freedom from people who drain your soul like your iPhone battery in cold weather. But apparently no one sent the memo to my sister-in-law, Deborah, or my teenage grandson, Dylan. Let's start with Deborah. She's the kind of woman who arrives early, brings her own salad dressing, and offers compliments that feel like expertly thrown darts. At Thanksgiving, I said I made the stuffing myself this year. She nodded and said, "Wow, that's so brave of you." Brave? Deborah, I didn't go to war. I just sautéed some onions and dumped it into a Pyrex dish. But that's Deborah. Everything is a competition wrapped in fake concern. Last Christmas, I wore a sweater I loved, one with little sparkly snowflakes, and she leaned over and said, "Oh, Carol, I just love how you're not afraid to be festive." Ma'am, I'm wearing a snowflake, not a protest sign. And the worst part is, she doesn't even know she's doing it. Or maybe she does, and that's her superpower. Passive-aggressive psychological warfare via casserole. You'd think after 60 I'd be immune. But no, somehow she finds a way to get under my skin like glitter in a carpet. Then there's Dylan, my sweet, clueless, screen-addicted grandson. He's 14, wears headphones as a permanent accessory, and only looks up from his iPad when he needs help with something technology-related. Which is deeply ironic because I'm the one who still uses a mouse with a cord. Last month he called me at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. because his Wi-Fi wasn't working. I asked if he had tried restarting the router. He said, "What's a router?" I said, "Dylan, I'm 66. I still write checks." "Why are you calling me?" And then he tried to airdrop me a screenshot. Airdrop. To a woman who still uses an answering machine. I told him I don't do clouds unless they're in the sky. The worst part is that every visit turns into an unsolicited IT support session. "Grandma, your phone has like 200 unread emails." Yes, Dylan. They're mostly from Walgreens and the Democratic National Committee, and I like it that way. Once I caught him trying to clean up my home screen and he deleted my Kindle app. He said I could just re-download it. I said, "With what? My good intentions?" Of course, I forgave him. He's still my grandson. But I started locking my phone when he's around, and I may have told him the Wi-Fi password changes daily now, just to buy myself some peace. What these two don't realize, Deborah with her curated insults and Dylan with his teenage tunnel vision, is that after 60, our patience comes with an expiration date. It's not about being grumpy or stubborn. It's about energy conservation. I don't want to spend what little battery life I have left explaining how to reset a modem or defending my love for stovetop stuffing. I want quiet. I want comfort. I want to wear fuzzy socks without commentary. But family doesn't come with an unsubscribe button, so you learn to create boundaries. Deborah now gets invited to every other holiday, alternating with a quiet Thanksgiving I invented just for myself. Dylan still visits, but only after I make him sign a no tech talk agreement, verbal of course, because he refuses to touch paper. In a way, they both serve as reminders that family is a wild, chaotic circus that never really leaves town. They'll always be there, with their snide remarks, dead routers, and endless opinions. But at least now I'm no longer front row. I've stepped back, I wave politely from afar, and I keep my Kindle app on page 212 of a cozy mystery novel where the only thing being murdered is my peace and quiet. Oh wait, no, that's real life. Retirement teaches you many things. How to nap guilt-free, how to say no without explanation, and how to survive family members who are somehow both clueless and relentless. Enter my Uncle Gene, who has taken up a new hobby in his late 60s. Conspiracy theories and unsolicited sermons delivered through the magical megaphone of Facebook Messenger. Uncle Gene used to be the guy who brought homemade pickles to family BBQs and told corny jokes no one laughed at. Now he's the guy who sends me grainy YouTube videos with titles like "The Truth About Your Microwave" and "5G is Watching You Through Your Coffee Maker." I don't even drink coffee, Gene, but thanks for the trauma. Every Sunday, like clockwork, he calls me around noon, right when I'm settling into my crosswords and leftover scone, and launches into his latest discovery. "Carol," he'll say in a whisper like we're being tapped, "have you looked into the fluoride situation?" I once told him I just want my teeth clean and my water wet. He didn't laugh. He sent me a PDF. One time he tried to explain how the moon landing was faked, and I said, "Gene, I was alive when it happened. I watched it on TV." He replied, "That's exactly what they wanted you to think." Who's they? No answer, just more links. I tried muting him, but he shows up in real life too, at funerals, reunions, even my mailbox once with a flyer he printed about the government controlling weather through Wi-Fi towers. I wish I was exaggerating. He means well, I suppose, but peace and sanity are a higher priority than debating Area 51 with a man who believes his toaster is too quiet to be trusted. And as if Jean wasn't enough, there's my daughter Michelle, my darling, sweet, spreadsheet-loving Michelle, who now treats my mortality like a pending tax deadline. She visits more often lately, and at first I thought, how lovely, she wants to spend time with me. But no, she brings folders. She brings documents. She brings sentences that start with, have you thought about, and end with, power of attorney. Michelle is 42, has a retirement account, color codes her groceries, and once scolded me for not having a fire escape plan. I live in a one-story ranch house. The woman is prepared for everything except the possibility that I might live another 20 years and spend all my savings on puzzles and peaches. During dinner, she casually drops phrases like estate planning and future-proofing, while I try to pretend I'm hard of hearing. Last month, she asked if I had picked a medical proxy. I said yes, then named her cousin Ricky just to watch her panic. Look, I get it. She's not being greedy. She's being responsible. But there's something soul-sapping about being treated like a future spreadsheet entry rather than a still-breathing woman who enjoys reruns of Matlock and snacks after 9 p.m. She even once offered to help me clean out my jewelry drawer, said she just wanted to organize things for clarity. Clarity, my foot. She just wanted to know which ring was real. I told her if she keeps this up, I'm leaving everything to the neighbor's cat. She thought I was joking. I wasn't. Here's the thing. After 60, you become invisible to some people and hypervisible to others. Invisible to society, to fashion magazines, to customer service reps who assume you don't understand apps. But hypervisible to family members who see you as a medical liability, a legal process, or a time bomb of assets. You're not just mom anymore. You're a portfolio, a future probate case, and you start to realize that peace in old age isn't just about fewer responsibilities. It's about fewer expectations. I love Michelle. I do. But I've started ending our conversations with a firm, I'm not dead yet, just to remind her. As for Uncle Gene, I've learned that when he brings up aliens or water filters, the best response is, wow, that's interesting, followed immediately by, gotta go, pot's boiling, even if I'm not cooking. I'm learning slowly but surely how to defend my peace with polite lies, locked doors, and the occasional technical accident where my phone mysteriously stops receiving messages. Retirement was never going to be perfect, but I didn't expect it to come with PowerPoints and propaganda. So if you're over 60 and reading this, know this truth. You don't have to attend every debate you're invited to, and you certainly don't have to share your will with someone who still corrects your grammar at dinner. Choose quiet, choose sanity, and if needed, pretend you've joined a meditation retreat that bans contact with relatives who own more than one filing cabinet. You reach a point in life, somewhere after 60, somewhere between your third reading of the same mystery novel and your fifth cup of lukewarm tea, when you finally understand that peace is not something you stumble upon, it's something you build, brick by quiet brick. And you build it by gently, firmly, and sometimes sarcastically distancing yourself from the people who threaten to bulldoze it. I used to think that aging gracefully meant staying agreeable, hosting the holidays, listening to everyone's unsolicited advice while smiling through gritted dentures. But now I know that real grace lies in knowing when to say, not today, Brenda, and going back to your puzzle. In the last few months, I've drawn a soft but unmistakable line around my time, my space, and my sanity. I no longer feel the need to attend every family function that feels more like performance art than connection. I've learned to let phone calls ring out if I don't feel like talking. I no longer apologize for loving silence more than small talk. And the beautiful thing? The world didn't fall apart. Sure, cousin Rick stopped texting after I asked him to Venmo me back for the pizza he forgot to pay for. Deborah now refers to me as difficult in the group chat I don't read. Michelle, bless her type A soul, still sends me articles about retirement efficiency, but she's also started bringing me homemade banana bread without an agenda. Even Dylan, my sweet tech-obsessed grandson, has started sitting with me for 10 whole minutes without a screen in sight. The first time it happened, I thought he was sick. Turned out, he just wanted to hear about my high school prom. And I told him everything, from my big hair to the even bigger heartbreak. We laughed. He listened. I realized in that moment that maybe, just maybe, boundaries don't push people away. They teach them how to meet you where you really are. Uncle Gene still messages me about the end of the world, but now I send him cat memes in return. It confuses him enough to stop. And for the first time in decades, I've started enjoying my own company without guilt. I sit on my back porch every evening with a blanket, some peppermint tea, and absolutely no plan. I listen to the wind, the occasional barking dog, and the satisfying click of my old lamp turning on. And sometimes, just sometimes, I look up at the sky and smile. Not because life is perfect, but because it's finally mine. The drama, the chaos, the expectations, they're still out there buzzing like mosquitoes. But I've learned how to keep the screen door shut. Retirement isn't about stopping. It's about choosing. And I choose joy. I choose peace. I choose the version of me that doesn't have to play hostess, fixer, or IT support technician anymore. I've paid my dues. I've raised my kids, buried my parents, folded more laundry than should be legally required, and smiled through more family photos than I care to count. Now, I dance in the kitchen, eat dessert first, and say no like I mean it. The relatives I used to avoid have either adapted to the new me or quietly drifted out of orbit. And that's okay. Life after 60 isn't the end of the story. It's just the start of a better chapter. One where I get to be the main character, not the background support. And in this chapter, the ending isn't just happy, it's peaceful, which at this age is exactly the kind of happy that matters most.